And I'm a fan of all this information you be giving out, man.
I appreciate it, bro. How you holding up?
Oh, I'm in the best shape of my life, man. I pretty much be quarantining anyway, man. I don't really be too much, but working locked in and spending time with my family anyway, so it's pretty much normal for me.
I see you linked into the beats recently very heavily.
Yeah, for the last 6 months, I've been going in. I started making beats years ago. Like I actually made my first beat on one of my albums, the Bar album. I did the first beat and it made that album. But I was just playing. It's like I was using Neo MPC. Swiss was gone. That nigga was asleep. So I just jumped on his. He made my. It was a sample and all that.
Right.
But since then, I ain't really been going in too heavy. Like once a year, every now and then I make a beat. I wasn't really locked in. But like 6 months ago, I'm like, let me lock really in. Like, let me start going in and getting better with this shit. Because I know if I put my mind to it, I'm going to figure it out. So I've been going heavy the last 6 months. I actually released like 7 records on all of the platforms that I produce. I've been records while I'm figuring it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I got a lot better recently. So the last few records that I've been releasing is been sounding a little bit different.
What made you do that? What made you step over into the beats?
I just love music, man. And sometimes I be wanting to get in the zone and be wanting to write and be tired of pulling up instrumentals I probably already wrote to, or having to try to go through a bunch of beats to find the one that you trying to vibe out to.
Yeah.
Better when I make beats myself. Like, you know what I mean? Even when I was doing them quarantine freestyles, I could just pull up my own beats and just do a freestyle, put it out. Don't got to worry about nothing. You know what I mean? If I want to get in the zone, if my producers don't got the beats for me, then I could always find a beat myself and just lock in. So it make it better. And it make me more of a force as far as music is concerned. I'm more of an impact now. I could do more and bring more to the table when I'm in the stew. Aside of all of the other shit that I've been could do, now I could even do a little bit more.
Right. One of my little homies, Dane Jordan, he from Philly. He one of his roles. He did a listening session not too long ago for like his EP. And that he played through it. And then at the end, he like, yeah, and just so y'all know, I did all these beats. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like, you know, I'm not good at making beats. Like I can produce things maybe from a distance, but I'm not like good with putting the things together. Like I've tried. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. So I just always say I leave it to the professionals.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you might be better than you think. It might just take a little time, man. You know what I mean? So dope at all of the other stuff you do when you try to make beats. You like a baby at it, so you probably don't feel comfortable with being that premature with what you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? It might be doper than what you think. It might just take a little time for you to get the hang of it. Even my oldest son, he be banging out. The son that I put in, I'm a hustler. My bill's coming too soon. My son gonna be too soon. 16 now, and he be banging out. He got his own production team. He's scoring. He producing a lot of records for a lot of artists, a lot of young up and coming artists. He just did this record called Tomato Soup. He be in there banging out beats every day, constantly. So I'm super proud of him, man. He the next one. By the time he 18, he gonna be the best in the world, man.
I mean, his pops is hands down one of the best punchline bar spitters ever. And what some people may not know is like maybe like I don't want to say 20 years ago because that might be too long. But you remember we jumped on the phone like a decade ago, maybe. Man, when did that first Rough Ride, or that was it volume 2 with the Larceny joint on there? Don't make me reach. He's like I hate to squeeze. That'll make your face pizza cheese. You need to leave because you don't stand a chance, man. I get greasy like mechanic hands.
Lupe know that shit. That's hard. Hey, one thing.
Me and Cash jumped on the phone like, man, maybe 15, 16, around that era when that had dropped.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago.
and you was moving around the industry just cutting people up, just eating people alive.
I
And
say about 18 years ago.
and my homie, shout out to my homie Be Nice, he had put us on the phone, and I kicked the verse and you had kicked the verse, and I was like, for me it was just like always inspiration to see people that do what you do at a higher level, but you get to engage and interact with them, and trade bars, and still sharp and still, as they say. And I always looked at you as one of those people where you were scary, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a scary dude when it comes to the bars, right?
Yeah.
But also like an inspiration and like a motivation to get better, and to always like, you look at what you do and be like, it's not as good as Cass. I got to get as good as Cass. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a dude out on the same age as I am. What he's doing is levels above what I'm doing. I need to get to where he at.
And that's the reason I do it for. Like, when I was in elementary school, right? I was in this after school program, this fire prevention program. And I was born into hip hop. Like, my mom and my dad used to rap before I was even born. Like, when they was having sex to make me, they was writing raps together and all that. So I was born into rap, but I never like really locked in. Like, when I got with my friends sometimes to Genesis games, if you go to the option mode on the Genesis games, they would play the instrumental to every board. And on certain video games, certain boards will have some dope beats. So if you go to option mode and pull up certain boards, you can have some dope instrumentals, and we used to write to them. So that's when I first started writing, but it was like a game. I ain't really take it serious to consider myself a rapper. When I'm in this after school program, the teacher going around the class asking people what they want to be when they grow up. Everybody giving these generic answers: doctor, a lawyer, a firefighter. So when they get to me, they like, what you want to be? I'm like, man, I'm going to be a rapper. So the teacher like, you're going to be a rapper, write a rap about this fire prevention program, come to school tomorrow, say the rap, and we'll let you know if you got what it takes to be a rapper. That put the pressure on me, so I had to go home, write my first rap. I wrote the rap about fire prevention, came back and said it to the after school program, and they went crazy. All of the girls and all of the people screaming and asking me, yo, how the hell you did that? Yo, out there. And I'm just amazed how I made the whole class go crazy with just something I thought about, wrote down, and made people respond like that. They ain't take no money. It ain't even matter what clothes I had on, and none of that mattered. Just what I thought about and wrote down. So from that point on in elementary school, I said I'm going to be a rapper, and I wanted to be a rapper too, inspire people to want to get better with the science. Like, before I even had bills to pay, before I even knew about wanting to do it for the cars and the jury and the reasons why a lot of people rap, before I even cared about all that, I wanted to be the best.
What year was that?
I was in the 4th grade.
Wow.
I was in grade.
That's great.
I don't know exactly what year that was, but I was in the 4th grade.
That's the craziest. I think I wrote my first rap when I was like maybe like 11, something like that. But I didn't make the decision. I made the decision you made, was like, yo, I want to be a rapper, like in maybe 97, 98. And it was like, yo, I'm not taking SATs, I'm not taking ACTs. Like, I'm finna be a rapper. And I had one teacher who was like, I was like, when you get that support, like kind of how you got with your teacher, where he challenged you and you was like gave you a stage to come back on the platform to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I had a teacher named Mr. K, and he's a math teacher, and I had like remedial math all through high school, like just basic algebra. Like, I was like, numbers and me and numbers don't mix.
Yeah.
And he just brought me to the back of the class where his desk was. He had his desk in the back, and everybody sat in front of him. And he just pulled my desk back there. I just sat back there. He gave me like a D just to pass the class, just gave it to me. And me and him just sat there and talked about, everything but math, And it was kind of like, I just, this craft and this thing that I want to do is where I feel like I want to be. And I think I got my first deal, and like, I was still kind of in and out of high school. So I didn't graduate. Like, I didn't get I graduated, but I didn't like walk across the stage and nothing like that. And I remember I went and got my diploma from high school, and like went straight to the airport and went to Miami for like some promo Memorial Day weekend, whatever the situation was. Um,
Uh,
but it's interesting to see how young, you know, people, especially people of your caliber, like, you know,
yeah,
how young the craft really starts. People may think that, oh, you just pick it up when you know, because it's a hustle or something like that. But it's like,
for
nah, it's the people who actually live it, breathe it, want to be this since they was kids, and
sure.
still, and the proof is in the pudding and the level that in the skill set they are today.
And we got a story because I got my first record deal when I was 17. I was still in high school. I was in the 11th grade. Oh, I was like 16 when I first got down, but when I turned 17, I actually signed. You know what I mean? So my mom had to come sign for me. I wasn't even old enough to sign the contract myself. So it was like similar, but I knew like from early that's what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be the best rapper. But as I got older and got into high school and started to grow and started to want more, I seen it was a bag involved too. So I'm like,
Right.
yo, money off being the best too. So that's when I started, you know what I'm saying? Really, because I was on this radio show. It's called The Cypher in Philly. Is where you call up and you battle. And my first manager was William Hart, the lead singer of the Delphonics.
Mm.
So he used to tell me a lot about the business, but he had a son that worked at the radio station and told me about this program. So I called up the first night and I won. I became the champion and I started winning like for long periods of time. I started winning for so much that they had to retire me and they made me a radio personality to start. But that's how I got to go backstage to a lot of concerts. That's when I met Wyclef, Buster, Cannabis, people like that, like being in the backstage from doing this. And that's how I got popular. But a lot of people knew me in the city, like even Beanie, Eve, anybody, Miss Jade, ask anybody from the city that was popping around that time. They'll tell you that they knew about me and was hearing about me. But it was a radio show and this was before social media, so people couldn't put my face with it. So that's
Mm.
when I went around the city battling a lot so niggas could know that I am the boy B from the radio station and this is what I look like. You know what I mean? And once I started doing that, I had the city on smash. A lot of people started coming to the city asking for me and asking about me and started offering me situations and telling me, yo, this person want to have it. I mean, and from there, I met TD, Swiss Pop, and that's how I met the Rough Riders and got down with that whole situation. It was over from there.
When did you know? I ask like, you know, MCs that are like I would say at our level, you know, not even like people that are just nice. I always ask them like, when did you know that you was nice? Like when did you look and was like, yo, I'm nice, you know, like I'm really good at this, like for real, for real.
That first time when I was in that fire prevention program and they went crazy like that, I said, yo, I'm really nice. Like I thought I was all right, but I'm like, yo, I'm really nice. Like I could, and this is my first rap. So
Right.
if first time I wrote a rap and I'm this nice, imagine if I just stay at it. Like, you know what I mean? I was young. I was in the 4th grade. So I'm like, most rappers is grown men. If I just stay at it, I'm gonna get super nice. So I kind of felt I was nice from the first rap, man.
Who did you run up on? See, I had the piece where I was like I think I'm good, but I always had like the confidence where I was like, you know, I don't know. And I always had like levels of people that I run into almost like a video game. So you think you nice, you put it on easy mode, you whooping dudes, you doing this. Then you put it on like medium or whatever, and you're like, oh no, I'm not really that good. I gotta go back work on my combos or whatever like that. So I
Yeah,
always had those, you know, level up moments, you know, while I meet it'll be another dude in school who you didn't even know was in school with you who would rap. You sitting at the lunch table, he just lace bang, he hit you with some joints. You're like, oh yo, I gotta go back and step my joint up, come back tomorrow with something else. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But I think my first homie, and my whole little crew was quote unquote nice in high school. But like I had a homie, his name's Jay Illa, right? And we were like recording in our basement on like crappy equipment. Our mixer was like from the 50s or something like that. Like we had just vinyl instrumentals, just constantly rapping over the same loop. you know, always every one take. You had to do everything on one take. And found out he rapped, and went to his crib, and like he was on such a whole other level. Just on the studio he had a mix in the whole thing. It was like, oh yo, you could record on separate tracks and do ad libs and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But his skill set, like his bars, was so nice, right? Like he was so high, and I was like, yo, I like he's way better than me.
Yeah.
Right? I gotta, you
He
know.
was older than you?
I think JL was probably like maybe a couple years older than me, maybe a year, a couple years. But anyway, my point is, like, did you ever have those moments where you went up in something you thought like, yeah, I'm nice, and then there's somebody just sitting in the corner, or you know, somebody who you just was unexpected came out and just was like, yo, I gotta go back to the drawing board. Watch him say nah.
Like I had to go back to the drawing board. Well, when I was younger, like the dudes that used to inspire me was like Shiz Lansky and Kyle Akbar, the dudes that was in Larceny Family when I first signed. He was like older than me, and I was like the young boy. So they already had a group. It was called Dead Giveaway, and they had like my other man. He got deported back to Trinidad, but he was in the group and he used to sing and do like reggae hooks and stuff like that. So I used to always be inspired by them. They was like, if they was advanced, they had like hooks, verses that was the right length, and bridges, and they was like ad-libbing each other on the hook, and it was like they was rehearsing. I used to see them in the room always rehearsing, like they really had shows and going on, and I was like a super young boy, so it was like they was professionals to me. They used to really record songs. We was recording on karaoke machines. They was really finding studios and like really doing shit. So I'm like, yo, these niggas is advanced. Like, so I used to sit there, watch them and study them. So it was times when, you know what I mean? But me, I always looked at them niggas as old, like older than me, and already was doing it longer than me. So I never compared myself to them at that time, because I was so young and I was just comparing myself to the people that was like me. You know what I'm saying? I looked at them dudes as older, so I never looked like in competition, but I did feel like I needed to step it up listening to them. And those the dudes that forced me to step it up in a short period of time. So, you know, around like you might be 13 and 14 or like 14 years old, you listen to them, you see how structured they shit is, and every day you go back and you start writing. So by the time you turn 15, now you a whole nother animal. Now you good enough to be in the group with them. You know what I'm saying? So when I started Rough Riders when I was 17, they knew all my they raps listening to they shit. And they was always listening to my shit, so we knew each other raps. So they called me out there to have a meeting with Rough Riders. But I'm like, yo, Rough Riders, they don't know if we a group or not. They don't know us. Like, you know what I mean? Y'all know my shit. I know y'all shit. We could go in there like we a group, like we the Locks or something. Go in there, body shit. They might sign us off. Or they might like, you know what I mean, one of us or whatever, but at least we all get an opportunity. And them niggas was like, all right, let's go do it. So we went in there. I went ham. They backed me up. And after we came out of that meeting, that's when we came up with the name Larceny. We wasn't even a group before that.
I had that same like situation when my father had told, like, I lived on the south side of the city. I'm from the west side, but I lived on the south side to go to high school. And my father just I was in the room doing something, and my father randomly was like, yo, go out west and pick up your sister. Right? Which meant getting on the bus. So I had to get on the bus, get on the train, get on the bus.
Yeah.
And just so happened I got off the bus, because you could either, you know, make it too complex, but you could either take the train to my mom's house or take the bus. The bus will let you off right in front of my mom's house. The train will drop you off a couple blocks over, right? But basically the same situation. So I was like, I'm gonna take the bus, but I'm gonna get off like a stop before, right? for whatever random reason. Get off stop before. So I'm walking up the street to my mom's house. A car pull up. Window rolled down. They're like, yo, ain't you such and such brother? I had a little reputation back then, you know, rapping or whatever. And I was like, yo, ain't you such and such little brother? I'm like, yeah, a big brother. I'm like, yeah. It's like, yo, we finna do this showcase at this you know, at this studio. Do you want to come? Right?
Yeah.
And I ain't got nothing to do. You know,
Yeah.
and it was random. They just happened to be on the street that I was walking up. They pulled up before I went to my mom's house. Like, it was all like super random. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I go to the showcase. I don't really know nobody there, right? It's, you know, a couple dudes. I'm there looking real nerdy, what have you. And they just was like, yo, let's rap. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe like 3 dudes. Me, maybe 3 other dudes, some producers, and then some record execs. And we get to rapping, and it's like, oh, yo, like, oh, dude's nice. Oh, you nice too? Like, yeah, I'm nice. He nice. Oh, okay. And it was Big Chuck from Aftermath was there. And I didn't know him don't know anybody at that time. Just a young dude from the hood, right?
Yeah.
So it's Chuck, and then it turns out to be who later become my business partner, Chill. So Big Chuck was like, man, you know, I'm like, y'all cool. He like, y'all good, but you know, Jadakiss will eat y'all alive. You know what I'm saying? He like, if Eminem was in here, eat y'all alive. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And they, you know, we in there, they leave, and then everybody's like, the dudes just like, yo, y'all should just be a group, just do a song. So we did a song that night called Wolfpack, right? The first time I ever met these dudes, we do a song that night. Song is like, yeah, this song is just a little chemistry here. It ain't crazy, but it's a little chemistry. So we just started a group, right? And that was my first record deal with some dudes who I had just randomly be at the studio with. We finna cypher. They like, individually, y'all not really good enough to do anything of your own, but yo, y'all just do a song and see what happened. And maybe like, that was like 1990, maybe 88, 99, we get a record deal at Epic and do our first piece. It was all just like put together.
What you think made that happen? Like, you decide to take the bus and then decide to get off and stop ahead, like not right in front of your mom dude crib. You decide to get off and stop ahead, and that's where you meet the dudes that take you to get a record deal. Like, what created that energy? Like, that's
my father. I was just in my room doing something random, and my father walked in and was like, yo, go pick up your little sister. I'm just like, all right, you know, whatever. But it's interesting how a lot of our stories are kind of similar, you know, and how things come together. It's never a straight line. It's always some, you know, up and down, back and forth, to the front, come back type situation.
it's a struggle, man. It ain't as simple as people think, man. People think you just write a couple verses and you just get a bag and be successful out of nowhere. Like, it ain't that easy, man. It be a grind, like you said. People be doing it for years, going through a lot of ups and downs, in and out of groups, in and out of management situations, in and out of contracts, state to state, city to city, traveling, trying to figure it out. Like, you know what I mean?
So last piece, and I'm gonna let you get back to
Oh, niggas like, yo, did you ever go pick up your sister though? Cause your dad gonna be mad as shit. Cause them niggas that go to the studio, you jump in the way, niggas.
I'm gonna tell you how sexy it got from that point forward, right? From that point forward. Here's the freaky part though. So the reason that the dudes in the car knew who I was, because they knew my little sister, right? And they were some producers who lived up the block, and I think I had battled like, and I was doing the same thing you was doing, running around the city just battling dudes, right? And it picked up after that. Like, people look at me as the battle cat. So somebody come to the studio, they think they nice, they're like, yo, go get Fiasco. Like, go get Fiasco. Wait till I get my boy Fiasco. And I was sitting there and just molest dudes. Just like rip them apart. Like, oh, you thought you was nice.
Yeah.
This is what nice actually looks like. And so anyway, the reason them dudes even recognized me was because of they knew my little sister, right?
Yeah.
So I think like what wound up happening, like I think me and the I think maybe me and the me some like man, what happened?
She
I,
still there, bro.
chill Range Rover, and that was my first time seeing a Range, like not seeing a Range, but like oh wow, these dudes are legit. They got Range Rovers. Oh man, what's going on? I think Chill dropped me off like at my mom's crib, and I spent the night. Either way, my sister didn't get. I didn't pick up my sister. After that was a wrap. It was like yo,
Oh,
I was at the studio. Like it might be a record deal. I met a dude who knows Eminem. Like yo,
look,
it's
say,
on.
man, I'm about to be on, man. We got a deal now. What was the name of the group?
It was called the Pack.
The Pack.
So we was at Epic in like 2000, maybe 99, 2000. So we was there with like I think Cameron. Who else was there? Porter Rock. Uh, it was like Epic Street, something like that. So we was there with a few dudes, and we actually was going. We went to like Howard Homecoming, and that was like that's when Eve maybe had like first was like popping, I
Yeah.
think. And it was just was street. Oh, you know, I go to street team, all of that, go out there, promote, be in the streets, rapping, you know, throwing out merchandise, stuff like that. So at that vibe, but the way it come like full circle is like when I got my deal, I got my advance. They gave us like I think our advance was like 40 grand total, but we had to split it 4 ways or whatever. They added like another dude to the group, so it ended up being 4 of us, and they only gave us half. So I had like 5 grand. That was my advance, like first rap money advance.
All
And
right.
I went and gave like 3 grand to my pops so he could pay the taxes on the house, right? So it came back like full circle. Him sending me, you know, a year whatever before out to go get my sister comes back to me like coming in the crib, giving him like literally a shopping bag full of money and was like, "Yo, pay the taxes on the house."
For sure. I know that felt good.
Yeah, man, that's the vibes. So like, last thing, bro, like what?
You know, people believe in you, but you know what I mean? Everybody don't really like know how far you could take it. So when you start putting it together and you start getting bags off it and making situations happen and bringing stuff back off this music, it make you feel a different type of good. Like, you know what I'm saying? You feel like, damn, yeah, I did it. Like, I accomplished what I told you I was going to accomplish. Like, you know what I mean? Whether you believed in me or not, I believed in myself and I made it happen. You know what I mean?
Literally a bag, like actually a bag, a shopping bag. It's like, here, hey, do that.
That's dope.
But where, like, last thing, I guess, right? I don't want to hold you too much. Like, where do you think rap is headed? You know, you being one of the best rappers in the world, one of the most creative, most consistent, constantly working and, you know, developing your craft and building. Where do you see the craft going in the future? Or where you want to take it to as we get older? You know, look at gray hairs on me, feeling like an
So,
old man. Where do you
so,
see?
well, you know, the older that we get in this business is like a mental thing. You know what I'm saying? So the older you get, the better you could potentially get if you stay at it. Like it's not like basketball, boxing. The older you get, your body wear down, you can't perform the same. It's like in this mental sport, the more time you put in, the more experience you got, the better you're going to be. The only reason why older dudes don't maintain their energy or stay the same litness like they used to be is because they not as active. They not writing no more. They not tuned into what's going on. They not like when they was young, right there. They like went through problem situations in the business. They older. They got families. They not in it no more. So that's why they not able to do it to the level that they was able to do it on. But if they would have stayed at it and their work ethic would have stayed the same, they would have still been dope, no matter how old you is. So I just want people to step up their work ethic no matter what age you is. Like no matter whether you a kid, you old, no matter what you is. I just want people to continue to go harder and harder and push each other to go harder. You know what I'm saying? Like how you said earlier in the conversation, how force niggas to want to get better. Every time they see you or feel you or hear anything from you, it just forced them to just want to get on a job. And if everybody did that, then just imagine how much better stuff we'd be able to get. But I know the industry is definitely going to grow. Like, as far as the amount of money that is bringing in the next 10 years is going to double, if not triple. You know what I'm saying? In the next 10 years, the money that's coming in the industry is going to grow. It's going to be an even bigger business. Like, you know what I'm saying? So people just got to figure out how to get their hands in all that money that's going to be generated and not continue to be cut out of that money like we was up until this point.
All right. One of the coolest things I've ever heard. I was with homeboy Sandman, right? It's from New York.
Yeah.
And we was vibing, talking, and was we on the phone? My memory slips me, but anyway, we was like wrapping it up. Like, yo, all right. He's like, all right, cool. What you finna do? I'm like, I'm finna go over here do some whatever. He's like, all right, I'm finna go home and write some raps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the first time you see somebody who's like nice, you know, out there, successful, da 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 da, and he's like, what you finna do? Yo, I'm gonna go to the club. Yo, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. He's like, nah, I'm finna go home and write some raps. You know,
Yeah.
and I feel that idea of the craft and the sport, man.
And they ain't understand it back in the day, like before I was successful off it, when they like, yo, we about to go get with these chicks, man. Come on, man. Or, yo, we about to go to this. Or, we about to go down here. We about to go. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna chill. I got it right, man. And made it bad. It was successful. People don't understand it. Like, right for what? Like, what? Right for what? This shit popping. You writing for that shit? Ain't what you doing? And I just would be locked in, dedicated, and they ain't think it made sense until they see you on TV and you successful. And then it's just like you hit the lottery, like it just came out of nowhere, and it's like, oh my God, how that happened? It's like, but y'all remember all of them years y'all was going out and partying, and I wasn't a part of it a lot of the times because I had to sacrifice to go right and put in work. Even though nothing coming in from it yet, I just believed in it. You know what I mean? You remember when we I remember when you came up, it was Power 99, and we ran into each other up there. They had me up there. You came through Power 99. You was for them.
Was Cosmic Kev put me on the spot.
Yeah, and that.
It was garbage. Like I was like, this is trash. And I felt like a certain way because I know people don't know Cosmic Kev tapes. Like I mean, some people may not really understand how Philly's role in the game is when it comes to just raps. Like, forget the industry, forget music, just rapping, right? Yeah. And you have somebody like Cosmic Kev, his tapes used to reach us in the city. You know what I'm saying? Like his freestyle, those freestyle sessions and stuff he would do, or like a Cosmic Kev tape, it would reach us just like a Stretch Armstrong tape would reach us, or a Clue tape back in the day. Like you would get a Stretch Armstrong, a Cosmic Kev tape that will flow through, right? And the people that would be on there would just be murderers. Like you would just hear like, you know, like the same way you hit Fab on a Clue tape back in the day, where people throwing their songs on there, but then they get to Fab, and Fab is just like,
you know, you got to rap when you go on Cosmic. He gonna let you know ahead of time. You already know you got to rap.
And I was always like, yo, I don't want to freestyle. Like, please don't put me in a free. Don't let me. I did that back in the day. I can't do that no more. Don't do that to me, Kev. And I remember I went in there and spit some garbage. And I remember Kev, it was like Kev was looking at me like, and then you came in there, and I was like, oh man, I let Nas down.
I knew you was going. I would have told you, Kev. Yeah, Kev will put you on the spot, man. I need something. Let me just get something light, something like. He gonna force you to spit, man. You gotta have something ready when you go up there, man.
So I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate
garbage though. You was off the top with it. That's a part of the culture that I feel that's missing nowadays. You rarely see dudes that can even go off the top with it or even try to. You don't see ciphers outside no more like you used to, and if you do, it's a different type of energy. It ain't like back in the day. I don't really even be seeing dudes on it like that no more. That's like a part of the culture that's missing. So being to the fact that you was able to do that, knowing that there's a lot of people listening, you don't know the exact amount, but you know there's a lot of people listening, and then be able to do that off the top, not even none of the thoughts of all of them bars that you got written. You don't take none of them. You just go off the top. So that was dope to me. I thought it was dope. I didn't think it was garbage. I mean, you know how busy you get, so on your level, you probably know you went harder, but it was dope to me to see you do that. You know what I mean?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. So, man, always an inspiration. You always somebody who, when I think about who's nice, like you've already cemented your role in what we do. You know, the Mount Rushmore of what we do. You always like put on. You never slack. Like you always just the intensity level's always there. The skill level is always high, and you're a constant inspiration to MCs such as myself, and I'm sure the many MCs out there as well. In addition to your fans and your career, but just as a rapper to a rapper, man, love you deeply and respect you highly, and always learning from you and feeling intimidated by the monster himself.
Gotta work, man. I know you don't, I mean, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I got an idea for a type of record we could do, man, to teach these people a lot, and the way we could go in on it, it'll be crazy, man. We gotta come together and do something, man.
I'm not trying to get renegaded by you, Cass.
Nah, no, gonna come together. Dope, man, for real.
Don't set me up like that, Cass.
Nah. We gonna be crazy on it, man, because you be going in, man, and I know the type of record that we could do. I wouldn't even want to do like, you know what I mean, some battle rap spitting type of record. I want to do a different type of record, you know what I mean? Where somebody gonna learn something off this record, and we teach somebody something, and you got too much information for me to be able to lead you on the record if we doing that. So I think that'll be a good idea.
All right, let's tune in. I'm gonna connect with you on the DM side.
Salute, man. It's been always a pleasure, man. I love you back. Keep doing your thing, man. Easy, boy.
Base. There was a legendary dude down in Philly. I didn't know if he really existed or not, but they were saying like the nicest dude in Philly was this dude Jack Frost, and it was always like a mythical thing. Like even in New York, it was always this dude who they used to say was oh man, his name just slipped me. Mateo. Where if y'all don't know who Big Chuck is, make sure y'all tune in to the homie Big Chuck over at Aftermath. Back around that time, late 90s, early 2000s, Chuck had his fingers in all these different pies, and it was always like these rumors of like, yo, Mateo in Brooklyn is the nice. I think Jack Frost was the other dude out of Philly. And it's funny how you when you look at the trajectories of people that you feel like your peers or do the things that you do, when you look at their process or how they came up through the ranks, you know, so many different similarities. You know, I always felt to be the underdog. That was my first rap name, the lyrical underdog, Lou, the lyrical underdog. And I always just looked at myself as being like, all right, like I'm all right. Then you meet somebody who's nice and like, oh, they nice. Then you start to do what they do. Then you're like, oh, I can do that now. Then you go to somebody else and it's like, oh, yo, he nice. And it's like, oh, I can do that now. Oh, yo, he nice. Now I'm finna do that. Now I'm finna love it. And you just find yourself constantly just leveling up the mountain. I still feel that way. I still hear things from folks and just like, yo, I'm garbage. I gotta step it up. When I first heard Lupe, I thought you was from Philly. Yeah, I was definitely East Coast with my sound. Maybe not Philly, but I definitely rapped like I was from New York. You know what I'm saying, son? And you know what's funny though, and I wanted to mention this when I was talking to Cass. One of the homies just sent me. I think we talked about this with Guru maybe. I was talking about one of my first records. So I recorded. No, with Joe Budden, with Joe. Or was it with Royce? I can't remember. think it might have been Royce. And I was like, yo, my first record, yeah, because it was Royce. I was talking about being of service. And I was like, yo, one of my first records that I ever recorded was for this radio station in high school. And it was a high school radio station. And I remember I did a verse. And I always remember the verse. VC to the third power, radio jingles to singles who mingle with the fly bee at the third hour. That was like one of my first joints, like to a beat, to a thing. And the homie overheard, I guess the homie, shout out to Brian, Flying B, he hit me up and was like, yo, what up? You know, y'all's an inspiration, da 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 da. I'm talking about me and my crew, we all went up there and rap, Bishop G and Doughboy. We was Volatile Creations. That's what that VC was. VC to the third power. It was Volatile Creations. And the homie, I was like, yo, you still got that? When I recorded that back in high school? And he was like, yup. And he sent it to me like a few days ago. And I was like, oh, young me. And it's probably the earliest to this date. It is probably the earliest surviving recording of me rapping. I think everything else is gone. And I think all of that stuff we had was even after that, and it was 1997, and I got it. And you know, I was so happy the like a few days ago he had sent it to me, and I didn't know, like he was like, yo, I gotta look for it, I don't know. And then he's like, I think he said, yeah, I gotta find it. And then he's like, yo, what's your email? He emailed it to me, and I played it, and I was like, yeah, I listened to it like back to back to back to back to back to back. It's only like 8 bars or something like that. But it was like my first, and it was that realization, like, yo, I've been doing this, and I did some math. I was like, yo, even though I know I was rapping before that, that's like the first time that I can actually prove it. And it was 23 years ago. So I have been rapping more than the majority of my life, because I would have been 15 at that time, even though I knew I was rapping before that. But I don't think we recorded any of it, and I ain't got those notebooks no more. But yeah, 1997. And luckily and he knows that because he knew the date. But then also when you listen to the verse, because I'm talking about his radio show, I'm talking about other people that came out at the time. And it was like, oh, yo, that album came out. Oh, okay, cool, 97. So yeah. So that's a lovely, I'm glad that I got that. Like out of everything else that's like gone to history, all my old rap notebooks and stuff like that, like to be able to get that was like a beautiful thing. I was like cheesing. I listened to it like mad times. And then I listened to that. And then I've listened to like the latest verse that I did. So you listen to like your first recorded verse and then your last recorded verse. And it was like, I was nice back then. Like to Cassidy's point where he's like, yo, I've always been nice. Since my first rap, I've been nice. But nah, like listening to it now, it's like, of course the bars are low. It's very premature. But I guess the level of I'm still rapping like that today. 23 years later. My latest rap, I still rap like that, which is crazy. So that's crazy to be in that space. And one day I hope, shout out to Brian. Brian, do not give that to people. Don't leak it. They're going to hit you up. Don't leak it, Brian. Please. Don't. Let me do something with that. Even though it was for you. Even though it is actually yours. But you basically the owner of it. There's like this skate shop in Chicago who I did Kick Push for. They got like the first copy of Kick Push on CD. It's like, yo, that's y'all's. I did this for y'all. That's y'all's song. But yeah, if you listen to it, one day I'm gonna play it for y'all. You know, or play it when I'm gone. Like just put it in a time capsule when I'm gone. Take my very last verse and take my very first verse, and then that'll be my last song, right? Like I'll be like, this is my last song on my deathbed. This is the last song. Take the first song and then put it with the last one, and then you have me at 15, and then me at whatever age I'm gonna kick this bucket. And that'll be like my piece de resistance, my final song. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. But if y'all hear that and you think about it, bro, you're like, yo, this dude has been rapping like that consistently for 23 years. That's insane. That was insane to me. And I know I've been rapping before that, but I really do think and really do like feel, because that'd have been like 90, right before that would have been 96. So I'd have been a freshman. I started rapping maybe 8th grade. So that would have been 95. And then we started our first group in 95, because that was 8th grade. So I met Bishop. That was 8th grade. That would have been 95. 96, we went into high school. So yeah. I think I started writing raps for sure. I remember I wrote something to like MC Hammer's Pray. So whenever that came out, way back in the day, that would have been the very first rap. And then we started 95. Yeah, I was MC Ren in 95. And then 96, we'd have been playing around. I'd have just been developing my notebooks, just the words and all that stuff. And then 97 we'd have been sophomores, or maybe coming out of freshman year, 96, 97. So yeah. And then consistently rapping professionally since 2000, maybe 1999. I think my very first interview was in high school for the high school newspaper, and they gave me the whole back page with like a whole page. And I remember they released the newspaper. My mom still got a copy. They released the newspaper in school, and then it was people in school. I remember walking down the hallway, and it was this girl, and she was like, "Ain't you that boy from the newspaper who rap?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I think that might have been like 99.
Peace.
Peace. What's up, brother?
What's up, King?
How are you, sir?
I'm excellent, brother. How you?
Chilling. I see you making parodies of folks after the battles, the versus battles.
Just doing what I love, man. You know what I mean?
I was like, oh, he quick with it.
Yeah. It's I'm such a part of the culture that I consume so much of it that it's gonna come out in the comedy. You know what I mean?
Bro, I didn't know you was like a Soul Train dancer.
Oh yeah. Real talk, man. I'm a full on. I mean, I came up b-boying. That's what I did first.
But I seen your Soul Train pieces, and with sometimes with comedians. Hold on, my phone's skipping. Sometimes with comedians, you don't know if like what you looking at is like them doing like some parody or some like skit. So when I seen like the Soul Train thing, I was like, is this from like some like Living Color episode? Is this from some like Saturday Night Live or something? Like what? Some Chappelle Show skit he didn't put together, something for Comedy Central? And it was like, no, this is really you, like Soul Train dancing for real with moves and skill sets.
For real. That's what I started with first, dancing from Beach Street and all that. You know what I mean? I used to watch all those movies and like, yo, I want to do what they doing. I want to do what Rocksteady's doing. New York City Breakers. and yeah, I moved to LA, and one of my comedian homeboys who was a dancer too, he was like, yo, come down to Soul Train on Saturday. We ain't doing nothing. We ain't doing nothing else. And I was like, all right, shit, let me figure that out. Be part of a legendary show.
Yo, that was crazy, bro. I was like, bro.
And hey, yo, let me say this too, because I said this to you last time I saw you at Glasper show, but thank you for shouting me out on Black Radio 1 in your verse.
Oh,
you did this whole rhyme scheme about, voices, and you was like, I'm Ari Spears on the Jay-Z skit, Afion on a Drake skit, you know what I mean? And so from that, one of my boys was like, yo, you heard Lupe shouted you out on Robert Glasper. And at the time, I wasn't on Glasper. And so once I heard that and I heard the whole album, I was like, this album, first of all, is ridiculous. So many so many kings and people that I really, you know, listen to are on the same album. You, Layla, Yasin, Erica, Music Soul Child. You know what I mean? Like, it was a crazy, crazy album. And that put me on the Glasper. Now me and him is friends. Now I'm on, you know what I mean? But from you mentioning me, it put me onto a whole nother wave of artistry that I wasn't up on. I was asleep.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
First time I heard Rob was I was on a flight to Tokyo.
Oh wow.
Music, you know, you listen, watch movies, listen to music, play games, whatever on the flight.
Yeah.
I'm always been a big jazz head, always a jazz fan. And I remember they like, I'm listening to the record, his first record or his second record, I don't know if it was. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this dude's crazy. Like, this dude, da, da, da. And then he had the skits on there, right? And I think one of the skits was he had like Q-Tip. And I was like, oh, I know Q-Tip. So I think I reached out to Tip and was like, yo, can you connect me with Rob? And I think how that relationship started. So it was that same kind of like, if Q-Tip wasn't on that record, right? I
Right.
had any like access to Rob like that. And because I was able to kind of find him and we connected, and me and him been rocking since, man, like I've been on tour with him, like fly out to Finland. Let's do this show.
Mhm.
Da, 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 da. So I've technically been around the world with Rob, and whenever he calls, and again, we even met at the show, right? But whenever he called, or like, yo, he got a show, like, it's like, I'm there. Where we going? What you need?
But that's what it's become with me too. Like, he reached out to me actually after I was already, you know, from your verse, and I had already become a big fan of his. One day he reaches out to me on IG saying he's a fan. I'm like, nigga, I'm a fan of you. He was like, yo, let's link. And literally that same day, I pull up to the studio. They was in LA, him, Kareem, and Common, and doing their August Green shit. And that was bananas. Like, anytime I'm around them and in the studio, there's always an energy that it brings the best. Like, John Mayer just happened to be across the hallway, and then he runs in and is like, yo, I want to play something on this track that y'all doing. Kareem was outside having lunch, so his 11-year-old son jumps on the drums and fills in. And so there's this whole 20-minute moment where Kareem's son is rocking with John Mayer.
Yeah,
and Derek Hyde's on the dog. It was crazy, the energy that Robert brings. And then when we did, he called me to do Fuck Your Feelings mixtape, so I'm on the intro of that. But while we're in there, Herbie Hancock just pulls up. He was actually at the show that I saw you at too. But Herbie just pulls up and just chills, and then starts playing with all of them. And then, you know, the energy is just Yeba and Inglewood Sir, and it's just a whole room full of Omarion. You know what I mean? Like, people just pulling up, and the energy is ridiculous, man.
Rob is one of those magnetic people in the industry. He's one of those. He's points. I mean, I don't know anybody that hates him. Like, I make fun of him all day. He's a terrible person, but nah.
Yeah, he's a dark soul. Nah, he's one of the funniest people I know, man. To be a jazz musician, and to not be a comedian, he's
hilarious. But like, always go back and forth. But like, he's one of those dudes where he just has a magnetism where he brings in just the talent from wherever. Like, just like you said, people just, somebody will step outside of the closet, somebody will be hiding in the vents and down and like, yo, Stevie Wonder's in the vents. Like, how did you, like, yeah, you know, I heard Rob was playing and I had to come slide on through. Like, whenever he does a show, you'll be like, is that Jill Scott? Like, did Jill Scott just walk in the back of this shabby little rundown venue and jump on stage and finna murder something real quick? It's like, yo, this dude's crazy. You know who else?
Layla will pull up.
That I've had that similar experience too was Damian Marley. It was in Damian.
Yep.
Like, who's this white dude sitting on the couch? Oh, that this James Blake. He's just vibing, right? And then it's like, yo, like, who's outside? Like, who's outside right now? You walk outside, it's Chief Keef. It's like, oh, okay. So this is so we just
Yeah, we just it's like the Justice League of dope ass people.
Yeah, he's got, it's the people that got them good vibes. They always attract like, you know, like solid folks. I forgot who else. Chief Keef didn't come into the studio, but I forgot who else came through there. I think Aloe Black just like walked in. It's just kind of like, yeah, there's enough to do 20 albums right now with the people that's in this room.
But look, man, salute to you, man. I just overheard like some of the conversation you had with Cassidy, who to me is one of the, he don't often get that mentioned, but he's one of the greatest and consistent bar masters that I enjoy listening to, right? But same for you, man. Like you have a consistency in this game, and you don't take your foot off the gas. And when I saw you that night at Glasper show, you got on the mic and you was just kind of, you was tired as I think you had just flown in back when we could fly freely. And you got on the mic, you was like, look, I'm just here to promote something. But in the moment, the MC in you just started going off the head. And it's consistent. Like some people can go off the head and it's hit or miss. But there's other people that when you do it for so long, there's a groove that you'll find. Like you have it, Common, Rashid, whatever. Y'all have that thing. Talib, like there's a thing, there's a groove that the real MCs that have this fiber, you have it and you fall into it like it's blinking your eyes. And you know, I'm just giving you your flowers right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
appreciate that, brother. You
know, I'm sure you've heard it before, but I'm telling you, you know, as a fan and as a, you know, someone who has an ear for it.
I remember one time, and when you get all those dudes in the same space that can actually do that, like I had this instance where I did a show for some college, and for some reason they put me last, right? Like I was supposed to be there. But before me, it's Busta Rhymes, and, right? Busta Rhymes and Spliff, Common, right? And I want to say it was one more person. And so you got these master performers, masters. I'm just like, I think I was on my second or third album. And I was like, yo, I can't compete with it. I'm just learning how to perform, really. And like I think Jadakiss.
Wow.
Right? So just imagine the lineup is like Busta Rhymes and then Common and you. So by the time I got to perform, I think it was in Rochester, or no, either Rochester or Buffalo. Everything that you could possibly do as a rapper had already been done through the show. Common freestyled off the top of the dome about the city. So he referenced
right.
things. He got the crowd, the color of the shirt you wear. Busta just went up there. Busta, he didn't even have his DJ. Like he had some other DJ who didn't know how to mix. But he was like, yo, I'm gonna show you how to do it when you ain't got all your pieces. He destroyed it. Jada went in there and did Jada rapping bars, etc. And you get to me. And I'm like, there's nothing left for me to do. Like these dudes have done everything, every trick in the book that you could do with rap, rapping off the top, flipping, doing this with a hype man, Busta doing all type of things with his voice, and Spliff turning them down like he volume or something like that. Right. Yeah, Spliff next to him turning him like he a volume knob. He like, I'm like, y'all took everything from me. So by the time I got on stage, bro, I felt like it was the wackest show I'd ever did, and there was nothing I could do. The crowd seen everything that you could do in hip hop history just from being in the room with all those dudes. It's like, yo.
Yeah, you was in the lineup of kings, man. But that's truth be told, and you know this being a martial artist, the best way to learn to get better is to be in the room with people that can kick your ass, that can really show you hands-on, literally, how to fight and how to be a warrior. If you fighting people that you could beat, if you on stage with people that you're above, do you really rise to the occasion? Do you really reach for the bar that's up there? Busta by himself is a performance bar to aspire to be. You know what I mean? His
Busta
energy
is the greatest performer in the history of hip hop. Like he's the hands down the greatest single performer in hip hop. And when you put him and Spliff on the same stage, it's over with. Like there's nobody can top that show. Like you gotta come with pyrotechnics and a screen and missiles and all type of craziness to match what they just do with just them two and a mic and the DJ.
The only two that I would put right behind that is Red and Meth when they're together. Because they do choreography, they crowd surfing, they throwing water in the crowd, and then of course they got bars, hands down. But their show, yeah, Busta and Spliff energy, I've never seen someone match that energy consistently for decades.
Yeah.
They still do it.
Yeah. With ease.
Still do it.
Super, super crazy. Yo, I have a question. I do have an actual legit question for you. And I was able to talk to, and it's kind of a sophisticated technical question.
Right.
And I talked to Ari Spears. About this.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to another what's this dude's name? He white dude. He's a white dude, but basically he uses rap in his set, right? He uses rap in his set, and he's nice, right?
Right.
And you take somebody like Ari Spears, right? Who puts rap in his set, right? And be like, it'll be nice. Like, this ain't that bad. And you take somebody like yourself who also incorporates aspects of it into your set and what you do as a rapper. And I've always had this I guess you call it an idea or theory or just kind of like point where I felt that the closest like fields in the arts are comedy and rap, right? Where we both, in both our fields, we live and die by the punchline, right? It's all set up.
Absolutely.
Set up punchline.
And it's about timing and rhythm.
Timing, rhythm, tone, like all these different things. And then stage performance, mic awareness, crowd participation, all these things. Shout out to Steph Curry.
What up, Steph? What up, Lyric? Kid from Kid and Play, OG.
Oh, shout to Kid and Play. But I got stories with them. Oh man. Oh,
yeah, wow. we got to talk Kid and Play after this, but I want to answer your question.
Oh, I got it, man.
And shout out to Steph Curry too, man. That's one of the most humble assassins from the court, but one of the most humble people on earth. Like, I just want to say that he's just so humble and cool. But
Steph had me shook. They came into the city and was playing Bulls, and I give people that space. I'm one of those dudes where they like, man, Lou, just go in there and say hi. And I'm like, nah,
yeah, I'm like you.
Still out here. But they're like, man, you. I'm like, yeah, but that's Will Smith. I'm gonna just hang over here. So I was going to do something for the Bulls. I don't know if I was performing that night or something, but they was playing the Warriors, and Steph was there. And I didn't know at the time that Steph was like a fan, right? And it's like, and people would just say it like, Steph's kind of a fan. He's just, but I'm like, all right, and they came to warm up, and they was like, yeah, you should go over there and like, just be in the way, just talk to him, whatever. And I was so shook. I was like, nah, I'm gonna just hang over here. I'm just chill.
He kind of sideswiped me one time too. The one time we met in person, it was actually at a Michael Jordan party in LA. And I'm not a sports guy. Like I don't roll in them circles. So somebody invited me. Like I was a +1. I'm not even gonna like I was, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the one night I ever saw Kobe in person too. And I saw Steph. He walked in front of me. I was like, yo, man, you dope. And he turns and says, oh, what's up, Afion? And like he pronounced my name right and everything. I'm like, oh, this nigga, he know. Oh shit. And so I was like, yeah, man, yo. I said, yo, you look mad young. And that was my closing statement. I was sideswiped a little bit. I said, yeah, yo, you look mad young, bro. And he just kind of laughed and kept pushing, but I was like, oh shit, what the fuck did I just say?
Yo, I was like, I'm gonna just step out the way. I don't even know if he's seen me. I don't even know if he knew I was in the building. I was just kind of like, I'm gonna step out the way. But yeah, shout out to Steph. And then when he did this thing where he said the cool, I guess somebody had, for Slam Sports or something like that, they gave my
Right.
album like, yo, that was my favorite album. If people know me, they know that's my favorite. And I was like, yo, I didn't even know. But shout to Steph, man. Appreciate you, brother. Much
Yeah,
love.
Steph, we got to do a comedy sketch, man. But yeah, what was the
So
question?
yeah, so
Comedy and MCing.
always was interested in like comedians' points of view coming the other way. You know, like, do you feel that that's like a valid kind of point? Do you think that that's like, you know, like we actually have something called SOSA. It's called Society of Spoken Art, and one of the things that we study introduce MCs to linguistics and communication theory and all this other stuff, in addition to the history of rap. So we've been doing that for like maybe 5 years.
Right.
Super low key, very private. But one of the things that we study is the relationship between rap and jokes, right? And the structure of how a joke is built. Some of kind of the underlying, it gets a little deep and nerdy, the cognitive aspects of it, different relationships between the setup, punchline, stuff like that, different types of jokes, different classes and qualities, and how that relates to what we do as rappers.
Right.
I actually want to do this series where you get rappers and comedians to kind of just, you know, go back and forth on their like experiences with that, or their kind of the way they do their work and their styles. So now I have you here, a very qualified, world-class comedian, such
Thanks,
as
sir.
and me myself being somewhat of a nice rapper.
Very nice.
What do you think? You ever thought about the relationship? Thoughts, ideas?
Well, I'm cheating because I'm actually both. I was an MC first. I was a b-boy and an MC first, and hip hop taught me how to be a comedian through Def Comedy Jam. Def Comedy Jam was the fusion of all of the worlds. But I was an MC first. I learned to be a comedian late in life. Right?
How
so
late?
like I said, how late?
Yeah.
What was I? 19, 20? But I was b-boying and MCing. I started b-boying first at 10, and then I started MCing at 12. And I would just go off the head at talent shows because I never knew that rappers wrote their shit. When I heard Run DMC, I just assumed that all that shit was off the head. So me and my brother would just be on the mics and, you know, just saying our little shit. You know what I mean? So I've always been an MC first. And so that's why, like, when Wild 'N Out came around, that was easy for me to be funny and to do, because by the time I had been doing both for a minute. But I grew up on Rakim. I grew up on from the beginning, I grew up on Curtis Blow, Run DMC, and then the trajectory of how that all grew. But by the time I got to Rakim and Kane, I was like, nigga, this is the template. And so my mind thinks there. I think complex rhymes first. Like when I do my top five, whenever everybody's top five is different. When I do my top five MCs, I go off of lyrical ability. The guys that made me rewind the tape back in the day and say, man, I missed that whole phrase because it was so barred up. So for comedy, it's a slowed down version of that because lyrics are so complex. By the time I get on stage and I gotta rhythmically hit them jokes, I already know how to spit microphone fiend. So to memorize my jokes about going to the supermarket or about relationships, that's just a slowed down version. Case in point, you being a martial artist, when you train at high level, high intensity with your master, that's like you like you're on your toes because you're across from your master, and you're trading at the highest level with someone who's teaching you. But by the time a dude walk up to you at the liquor store and he's just not trained in the same skill set, you see everything coming. It's like, oh, okay, I got you. So it's just a slow down, and not to say that comedy isn't complex, because I've been in it for a long time, so I respect the craft. I studied George Carlin. I studied Chris Rock. I studied Richard. I studied Eddie. But the relationship between MCing and comedy is I feel like MCing is more complex because originally when you wrote a song, it was 3 verses, 3 complex verses where every line you're aiming to say the wildest shit in 3 verses plus a hook in between those verses. So it's just so many more words and so many more schemes in a rap than it is in a joke.
Mm.
To me, you know what I mean? That's just my opinion on it, or my experience with it. But it's just so many, way more complexities in a rap. Like when Eminem said, "You might see me jogging, you might see me walking, you might see me walking a dead Rottweiler dog with his head chopped off in a park with a spike collar hollering at him because the son of a bitch won't quit barking, or leaning out of a window with a cocked shotgun, riding up the car in the block and riding up the block in the car that they shot Pac in, looking for Big's killers, dressing ridiculous, blue and red like I don't see what the big deal is. Double barrel 12 gauge bigger than Chris Wallace, pissed off because Biggie and Pac just missed all this, nigga." There's no comedian that's gonna have that amount of wordplay to go into a joke. A joke is more about energy and relating to truth. How many of us can relate to what this dude is saying? When Bernie Mac says, "This little motherfucker look me up and down like I'm short," we know what that means. Like I'm short. Like he look you when a little kid give me that attitude, he trying to look you up and down like you a short nigga. And you're like, "No, nigga, I'm 6'2" and I'll beat the shit out of you." It wasn't lyrically complex. It was the energy in which he delivered it and the picture that he painted. So
if you had to look at or identify, and two things from one that you just said, when you say you studied these dudes, you studied Eddie Murphy, and funny for me, I think it's the reverse. I was a comedian first.
Oh wow.
Because I used to study, like, and not knowing that you're studying. So for you, it's probably more intentional. But for me, it's like, this is what I watch. So right. And coming up, I've seen Eddie Murphy raw, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 times.
Me too.
Right. And I used to watch Sinbad. Used to listen to Ray Stevens. Used to listen to of course, Dolomite, which is kind of in that comedy kind of space, but really not, but still that
comedy and rap when you listen to Dolomite.
I used to watch Monty Python.
Of course.
Benny Hill.
And Carol
Burnett.
Burnett.
It was like, for me, that's what I was finding entertaining, right? And like mind stimulating. And of course, Robin Williams.
Yep.
And Bebe's Kids and the whole
Robin Harris. Yep.
Robin Harris. So, but Robin Williams as well too, right?
Yeah.
The Living Color, all that. So I'm watching that on some, like, you know, it's like, what is this doing to my brain? Kind of a piece. Like, I don't know what this is for yet. I'm probably not going to be a comedian, but I know I like to tell jokes. I like to be humorous. I like to tell stories. But I know I'm not like a rapper. You know what I'm saying? But I do. This is the stuff I watch. So to me, it wasn't like actively studying. It was just kind of being in the air. But I used to watch it a lot. Like, I used to consume it a lot. Like, I probably know Eddie Murphy raw by heart, kind of a situation, right? When it came to me to rap, I actually studied it. Like, I went like each component and part and words first, and then metaphors, and then lines, and then styles, and then I'm gonna study this rapper because I want to learn this, and I'm gonna study Ghostface because I want to learn this, and I'm gonna study Eminem because I want to learn this, and even up until today, constantly just a study, adding to my craft. So when you say you studied the comedians as a comedian, right? Like, what does the process look like? What do you mean by that? Like, what were you looking at?
Legit, when I knew I wanted to be a headliner, right? Because when you start comedy, you start as an opener, you got maybe 10 minutes, and then you start as a middle or feature, you got like 25 minutes, and you go on before the headliner. But when I knew I wanted to go into headline realm, I sat down and I just watched like maybe 5 different stand-up specials. Like, and I just chose them at random. I just wanted to see what structurally what it was. Because when I first started writing songs, that's what I did. I listened to the structure of the song. I was like, oh, you rap for 16 bars, hook, another 16, hook, 16. Maybe there's a bridge, like depending on who it is. If you're listening to Dilla, it's the structure is a little
all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over. He produces and plays like a jazz musician, the way he does his stuff. But structurally, you listen to whatever the structure is. So when it came to stand-up specials, I watched 5 different specials. One of them was Mike Epps in Detroit when he had the silver suit on. That shit was hilarious. But I listened to his first topic, and I was writing it down. I wrote down, okay, this is the topic he's talking about, and then how many subtopics does he have within this topic? How many punchlines does he have per subtopic? And then when he makes his segue or his transition into the next topic, I wrote that down as the next headline. So then I broke it down. I said, okay, each dude has about 25 to 30 main topics. And within that topic, they'll have about, maybe from 2 to sometimes 6 subtopics within that main topic. And that equals an hour. So, depending on how long you go, like Chappelle is more of a storyteller, Cosby more of a storyteller. So some of those topics may be a little more elongated, but that was the structure when I say I study these comedians so that I can learn to be a comedian. That's what I did. I just studied. And then you look at somebody like Earthquake, right? Earthquake is known for, he'll give you the topic and then he'll shoot like 10 punchlines on that topic as only he can. D.L. Hughley is another one. He does the same thing. But yeah, I will study the structure. And of course you got to be funny on top of the structure, and your topics have to be relatable and you got to be able to deliver it. But I just study the structure and fill in.
It actually sounds very technical. Like you said, it's not that, it's more complex. That actually feels, because there's different kinds of rap, right?
For sure.
Very dense, wordplay heavy, multi-syllable, polysyllable, polysemous type situations, multiple interacting, doing this like that. But then you also got these things where they're reveals. What I refer to them as kind of like reveals, long reveals, where you take something like Eminem's Stand, right?
Yeah.
And I think I talked to Royce about this too. The Stand isn't lyrically complex, right? It is a story, but it has this reveal, like this twist at the end, like this, like a big punchline, right? So the song, one long setup and a punchline, right? As a setup, punchline, setup, punchline, setup, punchline, setup, punchline song. And at the end of the day, the song might be about, shaking, I don't know, selling, whatever. But when you get something like Stand, it's literally one setup, one punchline, right? And the reveal is, it comes at the end and he's talking to, he's writing a letter to dude who he was talking to or whatever. So there's levels to kind of the complexity and how you invested on certain complexity here, or what you're trying to do. And this kind of leads to the second question I want to ask you, which is like, who do you consider to be, and I say that to say your process seems very relevant and similar to what we do in terms of something that is complex, where you have a head topic, then 8 or 9 subtopics, then you shift, then you got another one, then you might come back to it and do a reveal on that, and then you got this whole thing where it's actually this really complex system of themes and topics that you're able to maintain and keep, in addition to all of the tonal and presentational stuff that you have to do. Yeah. But who do you consider to kind of be those very technical, those kind of Eminem, very dense, technical type comedians at that level? And then who would you consider to be more so, the less technical, more story, very simple, but also almost like the Tupacs, to like related.
Not lyrically complex, but profound in their energy and in their passion. So what you're talking about in relation to a reveal in comedy is called a callback. So Chris Rock to me is one of the most technical comedians. He's one of my favorite, but he also is a student of Carlin. Carlin is highly, highly technical. He's technical at its highest, right? Richard Pryor is he's Tupac with a lot of skill in there, because he gonna talk about his own life and he could freestyle in the moment. Carlin didn't do a lot of freestyle. That's why I say he's more technical, right? Rich can do whatever. He could do the technical shit. He could do the freestyle shit. He could do it all. You know what I mean? Chappelle Sticks and Stones was very much a hodgepodge of all of it. It was very technical though. What you talking about with the reveal, how he brought the callbacks were really well placed in Sticks and Stones. You know, Chris Rock, I want to say it's Bigger and Blacker. The one where he talks about the big piece of chicken and how Daddy always get the big piece of chicken. He introduces it in the beginning, and you know what I mean. And then you know he's going throughout his set, and he misdirects you with different topics. And then at the very end, the last punchline is, "Shut the fuck up and where's my big piece of chicken? Up out of here, okay? Got it." You know what I'm saying? It's masterful how he paints that whole set. That whole hour is just massively painted. And then, you know, you got guys like Louis C.K. who he's just very Tupac-ish, where, you know, it's funny, but it's not technically complex. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But he has a passion behind how he does what he does. You know what I mean? Mike Epps is not the technical guy. Mike Epps is like, him and Cedric are like watching your uncle at a cookout. Like they just gonna riff on you. You know what I mean? They got stories, they got characters. They gonna put the cigarette in their mouth like, man, you're an old player, man, old player. Talk about, hey man, hey, look at Junior Lee. Hey, come here, Junior Lee. You know what I mean? Like they're like the, you know, the Raekwons and Ghostface of the joint. Like they got the bars, but they're giving you characters. They're giving you stories. You know, they're still one of our elites, but it's just so many different styles. Cat Williams is like, he gonna give you punchline with energy and character. He's gonna give you Redman. That's, you know what I mean? That Cat is gonna give you Redman on stage. He's gonna give you character, punchlines that are hard, and a rhythm that's driving the whole time. You know what I mean? And he's gonna freestyle a little bit, but he's still very technical. But his technical feels like freestyle sometimes. It feels very conversational. So it's really about trying to make your technical sound conversational and just deliver a masterful piece.
Do you feel that trying to mask the technical as conversational is something very difficult to do?
It's something you have to learn. It's something you have to learn to be yourself. They always say comedians are trying to find their voice. And what that means is, how do I get on stage with all this technique, with all this stuff that I've learned, and deliver it in a way that I can do when I'm conversing with you? Now, of course, on stage, it's going to have a little more if you're performing, because I believe in performing. I don't believe in getting on stage and just talking like me and you are talking right now. I'm going to have a little more flair on my character in my delivery. It's going to be saucy. But there's something about it within my hour where I am going to have the conversation and be like, come on, man, what the fuck are we doing as a society? Like real talk. You know what I mean? Like I'll go into my own voice and just talk. But then that character is going to come back. Like there's a reason. I'm taking my foot off the gas just for a second. And it seems like I'm just being like I'm resting. But I'm giving you a rhythm. Because if I keep driving you, I'm going to wear you out in 35 minutes. I got another 25 minutes on the clock. So I have to pace you. I can't give you punchline, and just drive my fist into your chest. I'm going to kill you. So it has to be paced. If that makes any sense.
We do one of the reasons that I kind of reached out to Aries, and this was a while ago, I reached out to Aries and was like, because he's you know, his impersonations are so spot on, something that you're a master at as well.
Thank you, brother.
And a lot of the studying that I did coming up as an MC, and this might be different for other folks, and it's actually something that we institute very heavily over at Sosa, is mimicking. And so when I came up, I have raps where I sound just like Biggie, right? Even mixtapes now, there's some songs on some mixtapes that kind of are floating around now where it's me, I sound like Big on purpose, intentionally. Like went in the studio, wrote it that way, wrote it to a big beat, recorded it as Big. right?
I got about 20 raps where I sound exactly like Eminem on purpose. Like I when I first heard his style, I was like, man, this white boy, fuck that he's white. This dude is so skilled that is mind blowing. I want to be able to do what he does.
Right.
So I get it.
I got joints like that with Ghostface, Raekwon, AZ, Nas, Jay-Z. It's just the list. So I know there's lessons to be learned, right? And micro lessons to be learned in that process. What do you, and this is part of your repertoire, right? In rap, we can't really get away with it. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to cut it off at a certain point. We can kind of throw it in here and there, but we can't do a whole situation out of it. And simply,
because then you swagger jacket in rap.
But what do you learn from that process? What have you learned in that process when you're doing the impersonations and the mimicry? Whether you're doing, in two cases, when you're doing it like as a performance piece to take on stage or take on, you know, on in a video or some content or something like that. But then also, do you also do that when you were studying the Eddie Murphys and the legends or whatever, right? In your study process, were you mimicking them then as well too?
No, see, for me, the mimic, the impressions, for me, they're just a tool. When I first started comedy, I did all impressions because I was inspired by Kool Bubba Ice. When he went on Def Comedy Jam, he did all impressions because I didn't even know impressions counted as stand-up comedy. I thought it was just some shit I did around the house that people laughed at. When I saw Def Comedy Jam, it all came together. Here's this hip-hop comedy show. These niggas is dancing at the end. There's DJ. There's rappers in the audience. Like, it was a whole fucking world that I was like, what is this? The only part that I didn't have was the stand-up. But when I saw Kool Bubba Ice do all impressions, I was like, oh, I could put a set together. I'm already a dancer, so I know the stage. Let me put this together. So my tool was, I'm going to try to sound like Bernie Mac. I'm going to do Jim Carrey or Fire Marshal Bill. I'm Beavis and Butthead. Whatever was hot at the time is what I did. So fast forward even to now, like going through Wild 'N Out, my YouTube days, and now on IG during this quarantine, thank God I have the ability to mimic people who are really relevant. And right now, because that is what has kept me as a tool, using those impressions to put out a parody here and there. And then in the middle of that, I've been blessed to do movies where I can create iconic characters that people talk about to this day. They walk up like, yo, Ray from a haunted house. Hey, what's up, Hammy? You know what I mean? I got Queen Latifah and Nas coming up to me saying, hey, what's up, Hammy? Like, that shit is crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, my heroes know my shit. Dr. Dre. I did a commercial with him and Bron. I said Bron like that's my homie. LeBron James.
Mr. LeBron James.
LeBron James, the basketball player. But Dre walks into my trailer rapping my lyrics from Soul Man. My name is Lester, the court jester. And I'm like, nigga, you're Dre from NWA, the Police. Right? So I've been able to have impact on that, but for me, like I said, the impressions are a tool because to me that's the candy. And when you see my film roles and my stand-up special, that's the vegetables. Because I'm talking about therapy. I'm talking about politics. I'm not just my special is not about impressions. It's about using those voices throughout to accentuate a point. But I'm talking about, you know, relationships and childhood traumas and trying to making it funny, but waking people up. Like, look, like my special is called Mirror to Society. So this is me holding up a mirror saying, look, this is what we have to deal with. And until we look within, it don't matter what everybody else is doing. We got to fix us first. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, the impressions for me, anyone that I mimic, I'm doing it to one, pay homage, or to accent something that I find unique about them. And because I know it's part of the culture and the culture is going to gravitate toward it, it's really something that, you know, I'm actively using so that people talk about me. And then I become part of that conversation.
Mm.
So me doing Ludacris and Spice Adams doing Nelly last weekend, it became a conversation. Like, it's something that people are looking forward to after the versus battle, to the point where Ludacris calls in and we're on live and he's like, nigga, that shit was hot. So to get the stamp, it's just a tool that helps my brand. Like, this is a conscious choice.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I got to make my brand relevant and keep it good and consistent without trying too hard too. I do what I feel. I don't do it because, you know, I'm trying to get likes. I do what I feel and it resonates. So I can live with that.
I think because well, for me specifically, I want to speak on behalf of other rappers or ITs. For me, I was doing it because it was the only way to learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first started to really put pen to paper, at first, my first raps, I didn't write to beats. It was just blocks of text, right? And word, maybe some metaphors thrown in there, but it was all about the words. It wasn't about style. It was basically just like a bunch of clay before it becomes a sculpture. I was cool with that. And then it became, if you write to beats, there's a certain definition. There's another level that needs to happen when you do that. All the stuff that you wrote without a beat is not going to work. Like, you can't use none of it. You could just use the words and maybe some of the lines, but you're not going to be able to use that as is. When it got to like me needing beats to write over, didn't have any instrumentals, I literally just write over the top of entire songs. So when I started to really get skilled, and it was me and Reasonable Doubt, me and Jay-Z. And it wasn't me rapping like Jay-Z, even though I did that as well. It was me rapping over what Jay-Z was doing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of my early raps were to like whole Jay-Z songs, right? With him rapping and the whole thing. And it would be me just writing on top of all of that, right? This big cacophony of beat. And it was something too, like the only way to really learn this, and this kind of like a follow-up question. The only way for me to really learn this craft at that level was I literally just have to do what this dude is doing. Like, I have to sound like him. I have to rap like him. I have to be on the same beat that he's on. And in that little lessons, in that process of like, oh, that's how he does that. Or like, oh, that's how he does this. This is how he does that. And it would literally take me, when I was off on my own, it was nothing for me to come home from school at like 3 o'clock or whatever, write a verse and not finish the verse until it was like time to go back to school. Like, I would have been up the entire time on one verse, kind of putting something together, go back to school with it, right? So the amount of attention that I put into it was vast. But this idea of the only way to really learn, to really just put yourself in that person's shoes, learn some lessons, and then when you come out of it, you know, you don't come away with everything. And in our case, we can't, because it's biting or it's you jacking something.
Right.
But you do learn these kind of structural lessons of how it's built, how they build it, and the tricks and the trade that they need to do. So as a follow-up, do you feel that comedy has that kind of formal space where you could go learn to be a comic?
Yeah.
Do you feel that space?
Say again?
In the same question, do you feel rap has that space?
I do. And the only like caveat to that is you still got to have the it. Someone can show you structure. You know what I mean? I remember, who was it? I think Snoop, and he was saying how someone showed him how to structure a song because he was just freestyling. Or it may have been Drake. Rakim too. Like there's always a structure. Like Rakim said, he patterned his structure after, because the fact that he played the saxophone. So he wouldn't just let the cadence be a regular, you know, boring cadence. He went to the cadence of that saxophone. Da 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 da. You know what I mean? So I do believe someone can show you structure, whether it's comedy or rap. Because I know some like David Arnold is a comedian that got a Netflix special out now, but he's taught a lot of other comedians, like Tony Baker, who does a lot of voiceovers on IG. He took David Arnold's class, but even David will give him the credit for saying Tony already had the gift. I just showed him some structure and how to just present it better, you know? So I feel like, yeah, you can teach people how to rap, but there's only a certain amount of people that really got that gift initially that, you know, you can just kind of shape it, but they already got it. There's an it factor to both sides of the coin. You're one of those people, like you, even though you were tracing over Jay-Z in the same way I traced over Mike Epps, his special, we still got something that's unique to Lupe and Affion that cannot be taught. But structure is always good, you know?
Enlightened.
This is a great conversation, man. I appreciate the depth of it, but I wouldn't expect anything less coming from you, kind sir.
It actually gets way deeper, but I don't want to like get super nerdy and into like super craziness. Like we literally read whole books on this subject and go very, very deep. Why things are funny, what makes things interesting, the aha moment we call it around here. What is the actual cognitive structure that allows that to occur, right? What is our relationship to metaphor? What is our relationship to all these different things? So it ties back in where we go really deep. Like we get really super deep, but I don't want to borrow.
Look, I'll DM you my number.
Yeah.
Let's just continue to build. I would love to have this conversation. Wherever. Let's do a panel, or if you have a forum with students or whatever it is, let's figure it out. I'd love to have this conversation.
Oh man, I appreciate it. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Man, salute to you, man.
Thank you. All right, that was a nice full shout to Affion Crockett. He's the homie. And again, you see people that are in their craft, they're masters at their craft, whether it be Cassidy or Affion. There's process, right? There's tangible, objective process to what they do, in addition to the wild. Societies are going to know what I'm saying when I say that. So there you go, ITs. I hope you enjoyed that. Is Steve Curry still here? Yeah. Yo, hold up. No, you don't, sir.
No.
Do you have is that an umbrella? Are you outside in the sunshine with an umbrella?
I am out. It's California lifestyle out here, man. It's in full effect.
Brother, first of all, on behalf of the entire community of people in the world, bro, gotta give
Yeah, my daughter, I was telling her earlier who you were because she heard all your music and how many times I put you on the speakers. And she's like, wait, you know him? I'm like, I mean, I know of him. We crossed paths a couple of times, but it's actually the first time talking to each other. And so I'm hyped, man.
Brother, champion, legend, unbelievable, phenom. Don't know how you do what you do, but you do it like icon to a whole generation of folks. Just want to give you your flowers, brother. Like you are a phenom to watch and what you do. It's always good to see a pure like master at their craft, like do their craft, you know, and do it kind of almost 100%. Almost like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not even trying. Like this is just muscle memory with a little bit of intention, and I'm able to do all of these crazy things. Like
y'all just talked about it a little bit. I was actually getting some gems in terms of like, obviously you have a natural born gift to do what you do. You got a passion for it. You put the work in. The structure that comes with. There's a certain way to go about it, but you put your own flavor, your own touch on it. That happens in sports. It happens comedy, the rap game, all the way through. So like y'all's conversation was so impactful in terms of just kind of speaking on some of those topics, and to know like I'm gonna give you a flowers too, but just to know like how much your music has influenced and been like the soundtrack of my journey. I told people, anybody who knows me, they know you're my favorite rapper, and like so me and Draymond Green, we got this running joke now that anytime your song comes on in practice or in the arena in the games, whatever, like I run up to him like, yo, you heard that new Lupe? He started dying laughing because he know what's up. But yeah, this is it's pretty dope just to obviously talk to you, connect. IG Live is crazy, but I'm just hyped to cross paths, man. This is crazy.
Yo, I wanna when we jump off, I want I always wanted to send you something, right? I always want to give you something special, right? I really appreciate what you did on the slam piece when they cool and did all that. Like that was like, oh, yo, you know,
you saw my face. It was genuine because
people rarely, especially people in your position, they rarely like Lupe. Like they've like, I don't know if I should mention Lupe. Let me just keep it. I like him, but rarely publicly do you see people come out and be like, Lupe Fiasco. So I really, really appreciate that, brother. It was really valuable in what I do to have a fan of your caliber. I really appreciate that. So I always want to do something special for you, right? So when we get off, if you could DM me your email between me and you, this is gonna make the fan. Right, so I have an album finished. It's actually getting mixed right now.
Okay.
Well, I want to email you the new record.
No.
So you could be the first person outside of the circle with the record. So you could just have that as a gift from me to you. I wanted to get you a plaque for school, which I'm gonna still do. I'm gonna still get that made for you, right? And so you can have that in your collection. So you know, from me to you. But
absolutely, man.
The new record. I want to hear what you think about it.
All day, I'm gonna give you my honest feedback. You know, I'm gonna love it anyway because it's you. But that's crazy to me, man. From the first time listening to music, driving sophomore year in college. And then kind of going back in the archives and following you ever since. I know like kind of what you stand for, obviously your impact, and the conversations that you start. That's to me is like the most important thing because it ain't just about putting out kind of that surface level, lyrics and storytelling. It's actually starting a conversation that impacts people beyond just your circle. And so for me, like, and almost like an educational kind of journey in terms of like what's actually happening in this world. People don't want to talk about certain things. So that means I rock with you, always rock with you. I can't wait to hear this new music. I'm gonna give you my honest feedback. I'm gonna hype you to the day I'm out of here. But that means a lot, man. I appreciate that.
So as soon as we jump, DM me. I'm gonna shoot you. But it's between me and you, Curry. Don't.
Absolutely. You can trust me, dog. You can trust me. I got you.
And
all love,
I have
bro.
one question. I know you being a pop person, I want to interrupt the chaos over there with the fam. But while I do have your attention, but I did want to ask you the same question that I kind of asked Afion and maybe asked even Cassidy was on earlier. I don't know if you caught a piece of that. You are a master at your craft, right? Everything doesn't relate one-to-one. Of course, being a rapper doesn't necessarily mean you could be a basketball player. Being a rapper doesn't necessarily mean you could be a comedian, et cetera, et cetera. But we as folks of us, whenever we do grab onto something and we are able to put the intention and the focus and discipline into it, we master it and take it to a whole nother level, right? So with us as poetry, with somebody like Afion, with you as basketball and what you do, what was the structure when you looked at, I want to be one of the best basketball players of all time? What was that structural process look like? What did that study process look like? Like, what was that process? And Was it more, were you naturally gifted, or was it, you know, in addition to being naturally gifted, it was this? Were you just like, I don't even know how to do this, I really want to do something else,
Yeah.
and it became like an accident? But what was the process to get to where you are?
I think it started with, I was definitely naturally gifted to put the ball in the basket. Like from the time I remember I was 5 years old playing organized basketball. Like it was, that experience always did something to me on the court. And I couldn't, you know, obviously that young, you can't explain it, but that plants the seed for when I got to about 13 and really started to get a perspective of who I was in the game. That's when it started to blossom, and at that point it becomes like real work and real investment into yourself. And so my whole process kind of boiled down to really trying to figure out what made me different in the game. And I always struggle with it because you always see, or like I guess in anything, when you're great at something, everybody's gonna try to tell you what you're not great at, and it almost can kind of confuse you to say, all right, I know what my strengths are, but I got to work on these weaknesses if I'm trying to get to where I go. But my problem was it always kind of confused me to think that I had to do anything else than who I was on the court and what I was, what my main skill set was in order to make it. And it's like studying other players, being close to the guys that have, and having the ability to kind of connect with those people that have done it on that level before me, the Chris Pauls, the Steve Nashes, Mark Jacksons, like getting close to those guys, they really taught me. And I always say this all the time, I don't have to be anybody other than myself on the court. And that was always a struggle for me because I always wanted to push myself to new levels, be as well-rounded as possible on the court. And like I'm speaking real technical in terms of the skills of the game of basketball, but it was really like a mindset of you can work on those things, but you don't have to be, you know, the highest jumper, the strongest dude, the fastest dude. As long as you're the best, you know, version of who you are and what you bring to the game, that should be enough. And as long as you kind of come with a pure kind of mindset. And so that's always kind of fueled me from the time I was in high school and college and now to the league and all the things that have happened on the court. So not being afraid to continue to learn, be around those people that continue to do it at the highest level, and be exposed to kind of different mindsets. But again, it all comes back to like who you are and embracing that and getting the most out of that and not trying to feel like you have to be anything other than that. And so that's where my main message when I speak to anybody coming up in the grassroots game or levels of the game is be you, because you're on this earth for a reason to be you. So that's kind of been my process.
What one last one? What are you a master at, do you think? When you say you studying, like you just being you, there's always other things you could do and all this other stuff and trying to be.
Yeah.
What did you realize was you? Like, what was that thing that you had, that you brought, that was you, that was that mastery?
I mean, first, just straight up shooting the basketball. Like I know I can put the ball from any range. My imagination and my creativity continued to evolve, but from the earliest onset, I knew that was, you know, the thing that I could be the best at. Outside of that, it's just low key having fun, man. Like that's something that always, hopefully people see when they see me on the court. I'm always smiling, joking, laughing, dancing. That's my form of leadership. But like, it's always about having fun, because at the end of the day, like there's highs and lows, wins, losses, a lot of work that you put in, it becomes like real, the weight and the gravity of it all can kind of get to you, especially at this level with the media, with the attention, expectations, all that stuff. Like I've truly tried to master like having fun on the court and bringing people along on that journey with me that way. And being really intentional about it too. So for me, that's the thing that hopefully people recognize. I know my teammates do, but like you go have fun when you on the court with me. That's something that until the ball stops bouncing, I'm gonna hold on to. Something I don't take for granted either, because not a lot of people can that doesn't come natural to a lot of people, I don't think. But that's it, man.
Spoken like a wise young champion.
Yeah, I can say that now. I got all this scruff on my face that I feel like I got some more wisdom up here, but
You do. Why? That's the fun. Everybody on Instagram right now that don't have clippers at home like me, who's comfortable, even things that looks very wise.
All day, you're just sitting at home thinking, and just these follicles just start going.
Everybody's feeling like Moses, right? Well, brother, I told you, man. Like even when you was on the court, I don't know if you even seen me. You was like,
No,
I don't want to interrupt the man. Let him do what he do, man. I want to.
So that like that. I remember that game because when we got to the arena, one of the ball boys told me who you were doing the halftime performance, and I lost my shit. I was like, "Yo, that's what he's here." Like I ain't never been to a concert. I was just listening to music, and I was trying to convince my coach to let me out of the halftime speech so I could go out to the court and watch you. So I had him put it on the TV in the locker room. So I watched the performance. That was as close as I could get.
Oh man. When you came out to warm up, and I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I don't want to, like, I'm straight, man. I was so next time I'm gonna take advantage of the situation. I'll tell you what, you know what happened crazy? Then I guess we can end on this. I don't want to chew up your time, but I went to a Bulls game, and we love D Rose in Chicago.
Yeah.
But he was injured, right, for a little while. So I went to a game and was sitting, he's sitting over there with the team. We on the other side of the court. And all of a sudden, the people around me, I'm not really paying attention. All of a sudden, the people around me are going crazy. Like the people in the stands behind us, they're like, yeah. It's wild. I'm like, what's going on? I look, D Rose in a suit walks across the entire court and comes over and like gives me
I know that feeling, man. I don't care how big you get, you remember that feeling.
So the next time I see you, wherever it's at, it's in the game, during the game, I'm gonna get kicked out the arena. I'm walking across the court.
All day.
Yo,
all day.
I appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure, brother. Always good seeing you, do what you do at the level that you do it. And please, yo, send me
I got you. I ain't dropping this ball, big fella.
I'm gonna shoot this over to you ASAP, and I want to get your opinion on what you think on what the new piece is.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. I appreciate
love, man.
Steph, man. Be well, be safe, and I want to hear what you think about this record.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, bro.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.